My, oh my, old Joe is getting really desperate as his latest attempt at trying to justify his student debt scam just backfired spectacularly. We're going to see for ourselves what the Democrats and their pathetic propagandists in the lamestream media tried to fabricate over the weekend in their desperate attempt at selling the scam to the American people. And if you stick with me to the very end of this video, we're going to see how it's all gloriously blowing up in their faces. You are not going to want to miss this. Greetings, everyone. It's me, Dr. Steve, your Patriot Professor, here to help you to think better so you can feel better in these crazy and insane times. So you know what to do. Make sure to smack that bell and subscribe button. And gang, make sure to click on that link below and visit the amazing Patriots over at Goldco. If you've got $50,000 or more in your IRA, 401k, or savings account, you need to protect those assets from bumbling Biden's financial insanity with the timeless value of gold and silver. Click on that link below and talk to our good friends over at Goldco. They're patriots just like us, and they want you to succeed so much, they're offering you up to $10,000 in free silver if you open up an account with them. But this is a limited time offer, so don't wait. Click on that link below, or you can visit my special website, turleytalkslikesgold.com. All right, let's dive right in here, gang. We are seeing an epic exercise in Democrat fabricated lies and deceit that, thank God, is backfiring big time. I know I'm being redundant when I predicate deception to the term Democrat, but what happened over the weekend took this propensity towards deceit among Democrats and their lapdog lamestream media to really a whole new level. Now, you may have heard about this, but it all started with the ultra MAGA warrior Marjorie Taylor Greene going to war against the bubbling Biden administration's utterly ridiculous, unconstitutional, and brazenly partisan transference of what the Penn-Wharton study concluded could be over $1 trillion worth of student debt over to taxpayers. Remember, this debt was not forgiven. It wasn't expunged. It didn't disappear. It was transferred from a bunch of sniveling, self-absorbed, entitled college students to hard-working taxpayers. And here is what Ms. Greene had to say about it.
But for our government just to say, okay, well, your debt is completely forgiven. Obviously, they have an agenda for that. They need votes in November. So the timing is a pure coincidence there as well. But it's completely unfair. And taxpayers all over the country, taxpayers that never took out a student loan, taxpayers that pay their bills and maybe even never went to college or just hardworking people, they shouldn't have to pay off the great big student loan debt for some college student that piled up massive debt going to some Ivy League school. That's not fair.
And she's not alone. Check out what Florida Governor Ron DeSantis said.
It's very unfair to have a truck driver have to pay back a loan from somebody that got like a PhD in gender studies. That's not fair. That's not right. And so, and then you also just have the fact, like, if you're going to talk about debt, then you should look at, okay, who has benefited the most from all this exorbitant debt that's been taken out over the last generation? It's the universities. They have bloated administrative budgets. They have all this, although in Florida, since I've been governor, no tuition increases at our state universities. We haven't allowed that. Because all it does is they plow it in, and they will expand like the DEI office or something else like that. And it has no real impact on the quality of the education.
Oh, he's so awesome. That's our future vice president, gang. The dream ticket, Trump DeSantis 2024. It's already done. It's a done deal as I understand it. Again, this isn't hard for anyone to grasp. The notion that a dishwasher in downtown Chicago should pay for the loans taken out by a law student at Northwestern who's going to be making under $120,000 for the foreseeable future till he or she makes their way up the ladder, as it were, is utterly absurd. There's no possible way to even begin to fathom how that could even remotely be considered fair. And so it's no wonder that the Democrats and their lackeys in the lamestream media have been reduced to fabricating completely fallacious justifications by trying to depict critics of the student debt scam as hypocrites. So over the weekend, the bumbling Biden administration started tweeting out a whole series of tweets accusing Marjorie Taylor Greene and one Republican after another of total hypocrisy because they all personally benefited from having hundreds of thousands of dollars of PPP loans, quote, forgiven, right? The Payment Protection Program. They tweeted out that very news clip from Marjorie Taylor Greene that I showed you. And then the Biden White House commented, Congressman Marjorie Taylor Greene had $183,504 of PP loans forgiven. Ha ha ha, we caught you red-handed, Marjorie Taylor Greene. And that's exactly what they did with Republican after Republican. Congressman Vern Buchanan had $2.3 million in PP loans forgiven. Matt Gaetz had over $482,000 in PPP loans forgiven, and on and on and on. And of course, what this did is it incited the leftist Twitter orcs to go into a feeding frenzy. The ultra-leftists over at Occupy Democrats tweeted out, breaking! Dark Brandon rides again! Joe Biden calls it absolutely fascinating that Republicans like Marjorie Taylor Greene are whining over student debt forgiveness when they receive PPP loans of hundreds of thousands of dollars. RT, if you love seeing Biden own Republicans! No! I mean, this is what you get from a group of people who are actually rooting for a man who wears diapers. Or look at this from the ultra-leftists over at NBC. White House shines light on those evil Republicans who are criticizing student debt cancellation after getting their PPP loans forgiven. Oh, the hypocrisy. Well, thank you, Joe. Thank you for bringing clarity and transparency to our politics.
If we elect 2 more senators, we keep the House and Democrats, we're going to get a lot of unfinished business we're going to get done.
Yeah, again, thanks, Joe. How many more prepositions can he slaughter in a single sentence? My gosh. But I gotta say, here is my all-time favorite. You're going to love this one. This is from someone on Twitter called Church Girl with the listed pronouns he, they. Here's Church Girl demonstrating his borderline illiteracy. How on earth did Marjorie Taylor Greene have almost $200,000 in student loan debt, and she's that effing stupid? He thinks PPP are student loans. It's so utterly this self-oath. How much did you, Church Girl, pay in student loans, and yet you still can't make the distinction between student loans and PPP loans? Alas, the sad state of our education, combined with the mind-numbing effects of wokeism, there for all to see in a single sentence. Fascinating. But this ironically exemplifies, I think, the futility of Biden's strategy. You see, the Democrats depend on a stupid and ideologically infested population for their absurd tactics to work. Because obviously just a second's worth of critical thought would render this comparison between student debt and PPP loan forgiveness utterly fallacious. They are categorically different loans, and categorically different entities like apples and oranges are not readily comparable by definition. Unfortunately, there's a whole lot of people out there pointing out the obvious. And by the way, just as a reminder, speaking of these logically wonderful people, every Monday night at 8 p.m., you can join me and hundreds of like-minded patriots in our exclusive Monday Night Live, where we dive into topics just like this for 90 minutes every single week. Just click on the link in the description below to sign up for less than the price of a cup of coffee per day. Can't wait to see you on our Monday Night Lives. You're going to love them. All right. Reason Magazine had a very good piece over the weekend explaining in very simple terms why the attempt at comparing the student debt scam and PPP loan forgiveness have literally nothing to do with each other. First, PPP loans were the federal government's emergency response to a number of state governments' decisions to force, and that's the key, force businesses to close. Need I actually note that our government does not force any person in the nation to go to college and take out a student loan, right? One loan was in response to a forced situation, while the other one is in response to a voluntary situation. Secondly, and again, this is key, the PPP was temporary. PPP was offered with a terminus point built in. And are Democrats now ready to implement a comparable ending to all student loans? Well, of course not. And that's because they're fundamentally different loans. Third, Florida Senator Marco Rubio, who's a co-author of PPP, fired back, pointing out that while student loans are precisely that, they are loans, PPP was created as a payroll grant that was structured deliberately as a forgivable loan. Forgiveness was baked into the cake of PPP precisely because it was an effort to financially supplement those businesses that were forced, again, that's the key term, forced to incur expenses by virtue of government-mandated lockdowns. Again, who may I ask is being forced to go to college? Who may I ask is complying with legally mandated college? Who's going to prison or facing inordinate fines for failing to go to college? This is so utterly absurd. It's been literally unfathomable how anyone who's even semi-conscious can push this comparison. And yet, it's not just the White House doing it. It's not just the moral zombies on Twitter doing it. It's multi-billion-dollar so-called news networks pushing blatant absurdities as legitimate White House news. It's beyond comprehension. But again, the good news is there appears to be plenty of critical thinking voters still up and about. And as such, the White House and its pathetic propagandists in the lamestream media are even now being exposed for the lying deceivers that they all really are. As always, make sure to smack that bell and subscribe button. And before you go, make sure to check out my latest video I just uploaded on Joe Rogan, calling on everyone to vote Republican. Has this guy finally been red-pilled? You'll want to check it out, so make sure to click on that link, and I'll see you over there. God bless.